Streaming cyberspace into your place, sanctioned by the Red Light Racing League from Langley Speedway. It's the Virtual Grip Network's 13th round coverage of the Skitter Creek SK Modified Series Season 13. Happy National Burrito Day, everyone. VGN is excited to join both you, the viewer, and the rest of the nation in celebrating the popular dish of Mexican and American origins that is tortillas wrapped around various fillings like meat, bean, and cheese. With this and only 3 more races on the schedule, with a 56-point lead in the championship standings, like the aforementioned meat, bean, and cheese, Eric Stout has this championship all wrapped up like a burrito. Now, the word burrito translates to little donkey in Spanish. When it comes to sharing wins, Stout has been as stubborn as a mule, with 7 wins that includes a pair of Stouty and 3-race win streaks. Bradley Steffen, Brian Bianchi, Brandon Feeney, H.A. Hamill, and last round it was Fred Leclerc. Well, they're the only drivers to somehow manage to find victory lane. In 1956, Dwayne Roberts was a winner by inventing the frozen burrito. Now, unless one of the previous winners or even Kenny Allen, who sits 4th at the points, can get microwave hot over these last 4 races, there's nothing left to do but, well, squeeze the lime in the Dos Equis and say, congratulations, Senora Teapot. Do you know what is better than just one burrito? How about dos burritos? And with that in mind, the Red Light Racing League has dished up not a single 100-lapper tonight, but 2 twin 50-lappers. So scoop on some salsa, pull the lever on El Chico Perezoso, and settle in for the twin 50-lap races that is going to be coming your way here on the Virtual Grip Network. My goodness, so much to talk about. From across the street from where NASA filmed the moon landing, a warm Virginia hello and welcome on this Thursday night, April 3rd, 2025. It's the institution, J.R. Shepard, joining yours truly, Bill Soups, on high up in the VN broadcast booth to bring you our bird's eye view. Replay, Lion Seneca, turning the knobs and pushing the sliders. Oh, I'm glad that introduction is over and I can turn it over to my buddy JR. He's going to talk a little bit about how Langley's going to race tonight.
Well, Soup, it's going to be all about speed here tonight. Like you said, we have twin 50-lap races. Each race about half the normal distance these guys run, which means we do not care about saving those tires here tonight. This place is the perfect place for that kind of race with these SK Modifieds. This place, it's 5/8 of a mile in length, and the track is very wide in the corners. That will give these drivers options here tonight to move around and try to create some momentum in order to make a pass. However, while these drivers are pushing hard tonight, they will have to remember that this place can also be very slick, especially at the start of the run. These SKs are going to move around under acceleration until those tire temps get in that sweet spot. But after that, these drivers will be dealing with a slight push condition entering and throughout the center of the corners. That is a typical trait that we see here in any vehicle at this speedway. And Soup, these drivers will have to keep all of that in mind as they are pushing hard tonight, because if they want any chance to avoid a wreck and potentially win one of these races, they have to keep that car under control.
A lot of good information there. What a beautiful sight that our director has found us there. You know, it makes me want to grab a blanket and a picnic lunch and climb up to the top of that is Hill Armstrong there, Armstrong Hill in the background. Go up there, named after, of course, Neil Armstrong, famous astronaut. Go up there, lay that blanket out, have a nice lunch, and you can look down on the racing. Let's take a quick look down on the points right now. You know, these rules packages allow for the drivers to drop their single worst result, so the graphic really reflects a driver's best 11 out of 12 outcomes. There you go. And you take a look at it. You know, the Tooth Fairy leaving money under your pillow and a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Well, that's about as Eric Stout not winning the championship. Those are all about equally as lucky, equally as chance of those things happening. Stout really does have this thing wrapped up. You know, instead of looking at the points, let's just talk about some of the drivers that have good results here so far. They've come here 9 times. Nobody has raced here more than Josh Buckley. Randy Hibbs has the most races here. Rex Hoyle, he's got 2 career wins here, and Brandon Feeney and Eric Stout each have 1. So it should be good. Okay, they're gridding up right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at it at this moment. We got 20 drivers here tonight. In the first 50-miler, or 50-lapper, sorry, it's going to be A.J. Hamill. He's going to be inside of his teammate Eric Stout. JR?
Yeah, inside row 2, we've got Brian Bianchi. On the outside, Chad Alcaraz.
Then you got Bradley Steffen's going to be in 5th position. The man with those 2 career wins, Rex Hoyle, in 6th.
Yeah, rolling off inside row 4, we got Rob Higgins. On the outside, the 13, Josh Buckley.
A pair of season winners are going to be in row 5 with Brandon Feeney and Fred Blair.
Row 6, inside, we got defending champion Jeff Aho. Alongside him in 12th will be TJ Henson.
In the Baker's dozen spot is Chris. May I have some more Sir Oliver inside of Andrew Critical Massey.
Back in row 8, we've got inside Ken Allen, outside Brian Neff.
Kid Lemon Lime, Luke Logan Allen. He'll be starting in the 17th position. Chris Hayslip, the Lipper, in 18th.
Yeah, on the last row, row 10, inside we got that number 98 of Andrew Lewis. Outside of him will be Benjamin Gerhardt.
All right. We've got all the bookwork out of the way, and now we get down to the matter of the race itself. 20 drivers here with us tonight. Glad you are watching as the season starts to wind down. Parade lap is done. Control of the field is going to belong to A.J. Howell. 18's got a familiar partner out there at the outside. The man who has dominated this season so far, Eric Stout.
Yeah, and Soup, A.J. Hamill, we just talked about, he's starting on the pole here. He is a driver that I see as having a lot of speed early. I think that's going to play right into his hand as we have the shorter 2 races here tonight.
Hope you got your snacks with you. It's going to be a quick one here. Gather up the chickens, they cover in the cows. The horses are out of the barn, and it is indeed Hamill that's going to lead the stampede down to the first corner. His teammate Stout trying the best he can to power around the outside. There's the number 14 tucked right in behind him, Bianchi. Bianchi does not want to limit in, but the 14 loses a little bit of momentum, falls back into the clutches of the 2 drivers behind him, one of them being Bradley Steffen on the outside. And there's a Bianchi on the outside there, Fred Alcaraz in the 17 trying to roll. The top. Still, look at Stout making the top side work, and actually he's out in front of his teammate now.
Yeah, you can definitely make the outside work here. It's a little tougher through turns 3 and 4. You see A.J. Hamill be able to close that gap back up, but yeah, that is exactly when you are the leader and you choose that inside line, you want to clear that second place car on that opening lap. Otherwise, you're going to see what we're seeing on screen right here, a lot of side-by-side action.
Boy, my partner knew exactly what was going to happen. The outside line is effective through 1 and 2. The inside line more effective through 3 and 4. And now Hamill gets about a half car length lead on his teammate Stout. Don't look away because cars getting together while they're leading up front. Well, that's something that's happened a lot, man. I tell you, getting right in there is 14 now at Bianchi.
Yeah, absolutely. His drivers are pushing hard, and I think A.J. Hamill's going to be able to clear. That is huge because I talked about it a little bit in the opening. The more laps you run, the more those tire temps heat up in those front tires, and the more you start to get a little bit of a push condition, that's going to make it a lot tougher in turns 1 and 2 for those drivers on the inside line.
I think the drivers could race a little more aggressive early on with a clear conscience now. Finally, Bianchi gets into second position. Stout's going to have to tuck down into third. Did it right in front of Steffen.
And you can actually see some sparks coming home to the backstretch there. These drivers are pushing hard. There is no reason to save. And you can see throughout this entire field, there is hardly a gap between any of these cars.
Yeah, they are lined up nose to tail all the way through the field. You can see it on the tower. Look at the intervals. No gap at all. Goes all the way back. The last one is car number 81 back there is Ken Allen. Not a good starting position for Ken Allen. He's sitting nice in the points, but boy, he is really back there right now. What we'll do, we'll go 50 laps, then we'll call the race. It is full points. Then they'll invert the top 10, and we'll do it all again.
Yeah, and that's where the second race, I know right now we're not seeing a whole lot of action. We do see drivers back here in the pack. Brian Neff trying to make a pass on the inside of Luke Logan Allen. But that second race is going to be exciting because you're going to have a lot of those drivers that finished up front having to start mid-pack. that can be very dicey in a race like this.
Quickly, look at the driver in that transfer position back there is, well, it's not really a transfer, but you get what I mean. Fred Leclerc racing in 10th position right now. Looking underneath is the 21. That's Jeff Aho, the defending champ. Aho would love to pick up that spot that would put him at least in a good starting position come the second race.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an opportunity for those drivers that don't normally get the chance to run or finish up front. If you can finish 9th or 10th in this race, you're going to be starting up front in the next race. So this is a huge opportunity. It's also a short race, which gives those drivers that are not great at saving their tires another chance to try to finish up front and get a win.
Two wide battle we're looking at there is the 13 of Joshua Buckley on the outside, the 54 of Rex Hoyle. We talked about it before. Hoyle has those 2 career wins right now, trying to show off what he's learned from this place. He's got his hands full with Buckley.
Yeah, and the one thing I've seen so far, Soup, I mean, we've seen some hard racing, but these drivers are being very respectful because this is a place where you can really try to pin down a driver. A lot of times that results in some contact, and we're not seeing that. These drivers are being aggressive, but they're leaving room to each other. That way they can have a good, clean race here.
You saw the 2 battles that's going on. The one other one that we were looking at there, Fred Leclerc in the 71 is stuck outside of Jeff Aho. That continues. Boy, getting right in there is TJ Henson in the 62, looking on the back of Aho, trying to find some way around. So you have that 2 wide battle, and then just in front of him is the 38 of Brandon Feedy now, working on the inside. That's the 54 of Rex Hoyle. Hoyle could not get it done on Buckley, so he had to tuck him back behind. But I don't think that Hoyle is done yet.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. He's going to search around, try to find some more speed. That way he can try to complete the pass the next time. But this is a frustrating place that once you get side by side with somebody, because it is hard to complete that pass. You really have to have a lot more speed than that driver you're racing. You see right there with TJ Henson, he thought about going 3 wide for a second.
He took the words right out of my mouth. TJ, we don't want to do that. 3 wide rarely works here. The problem with Henson is he is fast, and now Aho has been trying so long to see if he can get something done with Leclerc. Those guys are really putting on a good show. We got a car off on the inside. That is the 62. And we had a caution. Oh, my goodness. TJ Henson, he was racing up there aggressively. Spun off to the Virginia Alfalfa.
We'll get a replay here. Yeah, he just lost momentum coming out of turn 2 there, and not something that Ken Allen was expecting to have happen. So it's something that I've seen here a lot at this speedway, and unfortunately for TJ, it's going to ruin his race number 1. But not only that, he kind of came back out into traffic, nothing that he can control, and kind of ended the night for a couple of other drivers there.
Yeah, the number 6 Kid Lemon Lime, he got squeezed on that one. Logan Allen was on the outside line and rolled right up into him. So we are working lap number 19, if I have it right. Not quite to the halfway line yet. Now what's going to be interesting up front is AJ Hamill. He'll be on the pole position, or on the front of the inside row 1. This time he'll have Bianchi to his outside. Stout, when the race started, was on the outside of row 1. He'll be back on the inside of row 2. Not a lot of positions gained or lost up there.
Yeah, there's not at the moment, and you're probably going to see a lot of those positions that got gained, those drivers actually losing on this next restart, and the opposite happened for those that were losing the positions on that initial start moving forward. Just a lot of it's about car placement and the lines that you're in. The one thing I was kind of interested in, since we had a caution near halfway here, is to see if any drivers actually pitted. Because while tires are not going to make you extremely fast at a place like this in a short run, it may help you be able to maneuver and be able to get your car set up to make a pass on another driver a little bit easier than if you had those older tires where the tire temps are a little bit higher.
As they work down the back stretch, let's quickly take a peek at car number 60, Brian Neff. He's up 5 spots. I think most of that is just from avoiding attrition. And then the newcomer, Benjamin Gerhardt, up 7 spots from 20th to 13th. Good job there. All right, we turn our attention up front now. He's led the whole way. He is, of course, AJ Hamill. Pace car pulls in. Time to get going. Oh my goodness, Hamill does not get a good start. His teammate gives him a little bit of the bump. That's going to let the 14 of Bianchi try to roll the top side. Bianchi does not seem to be as effective as Stout was up there. Bianchi now tucks down behind Hamill.
Yeah, AJ did a fantastic job off of turn 2 there. He was just barely clear of Bianchi, and he moved right up in front just in time to block any momentum that he was going to have. That's going to allow his teammate Eric Stout to have the opportunity here. And a caution's out on the speedway now.
Look here, I think Lipper involved in this one. Ken Allen involved in the back, and then also the 38 of Feeney. I think it all started with the Lipper there in that fluorescent blue machine on the inside. Lipper gets away with the best. Chris Heslop drives away. Not sure how much damage was picked up there by those guys.
Yeah, I see one thing. So Luke Logan, he's got a lot of damage. You can see his left front suspension is damaged pretty heavily there. And I really believe that Feeney and Heslop were trying to avoid him, and then at the same time not really realizing that there was a 3-wide situation that was actually happening when it happened. A lot of checking up there, and drivers just getting into one another. But yeah, Luke Logan, he's got damage. He's trying to stay out of the way. I don't know where else he could have went, but I think that's what ultimately created that.
Let's see if we can bring in a driver here. How about again, Bradley Steffen here.
What's going on, guys?
Well, you're on the outside line. Can you make it work up there on this restart?
I don't know. Maybe with Stout being in second this time, we'll see what happens. But I was stuck there behind Bianchi with nowhere really to go. So I don't know.
Is it kind of fun that you don't have to worry about tires? You can race a little harder?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was thinking about actually going in and maybe taking rights because it's starting to push a little. I mean, the car's definitely not as fast. We're abusing them pretty quick, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. Hopefully, just maybe stay up here in fourth. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, it's a lot of track position to lose here with not a lot to go. Good luck to you. Keep an eye on it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
J.R. Shepard, I love working with you, man. You read he couldn't afford to do it, but you would think that somebody else a little farther back might want to think about coming in, getting some right sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a lot of laps and experience around here. These guys have it too. They kind of know what to expect with these cars and how they're going to react. And absolutely, if I'm anywhere outside of the top 10, that would have been a golden opportunity to come in and try to get some tires. And I know he's saying that it's slowing down a little bit. The cars are slowing down. It is hard to pass in general. But if you've got those new tires, it's all about that maneuverability, being able to move inside, outside of that driver you're trying to make the pass on.
Interesting. Learned so much. Okay, well, Hamill's going to do it again. He was able to hold off Stout the first time. He was able to hold off Bianchi the second time. He's got his teammate outside of him again as they work through 1 and 2. Stout made it hard on him, and Stout's got another good run out there. Boy, he is really good on the outside line with a half car length lead now into 3 and 4. But we know that he's not going to be as effective through here, and the inside line's going to pay off. And sure enough, iRacing is going to go ahead and score Hamill as the winner, but Stout's got to make it work. He couldn't do it on the beginning of the race. He's going to try to get it now. Boy, back there, the guy we just talked about, the 89, Bradley Steffen, is back there working hard.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and I believe Hamill's going to be able to clear Stout here off of 4. It's going to be harder and harder to make that outside line work as these tires get older because the temperatures are just up. The car pushes more with that right front, and you're just not able to hold the car down on corner exit. So that's why Stout wasn't able to make this work as much right now. And you can see every driver that's in that outside line is running a little bit higher right now than what they were previously, and that's not by design. That's just where the car's taking them.
The 14 of Bianchi working really hard now to keep Stout to the outside. The 17 is having a hard time getting up there too. That's Chad Alcaraz. If Alcaraz can get behind Bianchi, he cannot. Stout surrenders Casper, now tucks into 3rd position. And now the 17 is having a hard time getting it to go. Look at the outside line roll here as the 89 of Steffen gets around him. And we haven't talked much about Rob Higgins, but the 40, that seems to be working good on the top side as well. Give him a snap spot.
Absolutely, and that's what these drivers are looking for. Rob Higgins, he's one that was watching that, and he knew where to move his vehicle in order to take advantage of what was happening around him. And that's what you have to do in a place like this. It's all about momentum in these SK modifieds. Things happen quick. You've got to be able to react and move around on your line.
Joshua Buckley driving really well as he's going ahead and moves himself up into 7th position. Oh, look at this going on back here. Settle up, guys. It looked like 3 wide was going to happen. It involved one of the drivers in the mix was the 52, Chris Oliver.
Yeah, these drivers are racing hard, and right here you see Jeff Aho. He's actually the driver that's running in 10th place right now. He'll be in that transfer spot. I don't know that he wants to move forward, but he's a racer, so that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make that pass on Fred Leclerc here to continue moving forward.
Good racing going on in the back there. Single file up in front. There is a 2 wide battle. Let's look at this one. Let's go up front. This is the 21. That's Jeff Aho with the 71 right behind him. Boy, those are racing hard. Fred Leclerc looking to see if he can get around him. Leclerc looking inside and looking outside.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see some of these drivers use more of a defensive line as they come up out of the corners because the car's not handling as well as it did at the beginning. They're not able to hold the car exactly where they want through the corners. And one little bitty slip up means that driver behind you has the momentum to try to make the pass. So these drivers are coming off the corner, and instead of being up against the wall, they're kind of running the middle of the racetrack to kind of create a little bit of a block.
What is fun to do is you can go ahead and use this opportunity to not only see how the guys are racing up front, but who's going to be quick when we re-grid back there. And a driver that I think is going to be really tough is going to be Josh Buckley in the 13. He's in that kind of dark blue machine. Let's move up a couple spots. Buckley is working all over the back of Chad Alcaraz. Now, Alcaraz has a lot of talent. Buckley looking to see if he can pick up that spot. He's got the 54 of Rex Hoyle right behind him.
Yeah, and what I like about Buckley in this race is that I see him moving around. He's not running just that line of the driver right in front of him. He's doing some of that ducking down below early entry, moving up in the center, kind of ducking low on exit. He's trying different lines. Here you see he's making a late arc to try to get that run on the inside off of turn 2. He's not quite there yet, but that is what it takes to move forward in a race like this, in a momentum style race car. You've got to move around and find something that works better than the drivers around you.
8 laps to go. Too wide battle a little farther back. I believe that is the 60 they're working on. That's Brian Neff trying to get something done on the 38 of Brendan Feeney. Feeney will have none of that.
Yeah, he's not going to, but I can see right ahead of them in the 1 car, Benjamin Gerhardt. He's in 11th spot. He wants to get inside that top 10 before this race is over with. So he is charging hard, trying to get up there to Fred Leclerc. You see he's opened up a gap to those drivers behind him, so he is faster than them. The question is whether or not he's got enough speed to chase down and pass Fred before the end of this thing.
Let's look at Alcaraz. He gets to the inside of Rob Higgins. Higgins was having a good run, and that's going to allow Buckley to get there. Buckley is just saying, let's go. Buckley is so fast. He just has too many cars in front of him. Watch out for the 13 when they do the regrid.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been fast all night, and he runs a nice line. You see his car's controlled. He's not like moving around or going wide on corner exit. He's able to hold that car down and put it exactly where he wants it each and every time. So that's going to be big for him once he gets that track position in race number 2.
We are working lap number 47 now, are the leaders. You're not missing anything up front. Those guys have been behaving. We'll turn our attention up there in a second because I think things are going to start heating up. I don't know if anybody has anything for AJ Hamill, though. Hamill looks really smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. He's fast all through practice. We know how quick AJ has been in qualifying this year, and he has led a ton of laps this season. Just not being able to have the finishes due to odd things happening, being caught up in different types of accidents. So this is the type of race I spoke about that could just be the type that he needs to get his season turned around, these shorter races.
The 12 of Stout is beginning to fade as the laps are clicking away. That is Bradley Steffen to the inside of him. Stout gets a good run off of 2 as they come around and get the white flag. It is all AJ Hamill. He's led the entire way. He's just got 4 corners to go. The 14 looking on him. Bianchi trying to try high, trying to try low. He gets a good run out of 2. Unfortunately, he's going to run out of real estate. Coming through 3 and 4, A.J. Hamill's going to pick up his second win. Bianchi will take second. Stout holds on to third. Let's go back and look for the transfer position. I believe it's Fred Leclerc. Look for him to be on the pole. So Leclerc does come home in 10th. Higgins just ahead of him. It'll be fun when they do the invert. What we're going to do is take a quick break. We'll come back and run down the entire finishing order and go right to the second race. So don't go far. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. Welcome back to VGN's coverage of the Red Light Racing League's 13th round here from Langley. The results are in. Let's give them to you right now. I'll do the top 10. And these are the guys that are going to invert for the next race. A.J. Hamill goes wire to wire to pick up the win with Brian Bianchi in second. Eric Stout had to really struggle to hang on to that third position as Bradley Steffen was really working him hard there at the very end. Chad Alcaraz will be the outside of the top 5, back half of your top 10. Josh Buckley, he's going to be quick. Watch out for him. He's going to be starting just ahead, or just behind, let me correct myself, of Rex Hoyle, defending champ Jeff Aho, Rob Higgins, and Fred Leclerc. Who missed the transfer spot, JR?
Yeah, coming home in 11th, race number 1, we got Benjamin Gerhardt. He made up a lot of positions, though. Brandon Feeney, he'll come home in 12th spot. Ken Allen, we saw him have some issues during that race, but he battled back to get 13th. Brian Neff, 14th place. Chris Hazlett comes home in 15th. 16th place was Chris Oliver. Coming home in 17th was Andrew Lewis. Andrew Massey behind him in 18th. Coming home in 19th, 1 lap down with a damaged car, Luke Logan Allen. And rounding out your field in race number 1 is TJ Henson. He comes home 33 laps down after that accident we witnessed there early on.
All right, let's quickly talk to A.J. Hamill, our race winner. Bring in the number 18. A.J., the good news is you won the race. Bad news is you're starting back there in 10th. What can you do from 10th?
Well, not being in the points race, I don't care. I feel like I've already won, so we'll just go out and have a good time and see where we end up. Try not to run Eric over.
Restarts were interesting. Stout made you work hard. Your teammate, he wouldn't give it up on some of those restarts on the start, for that matter. 2-3 laps, he was on your outside.
Yep, well, point leader he's trying to break a league record for wins, so I can't fault him for that. He's an excellent restarter. I was very nervous early, didn't want to spin it when the tires were cold, so I couldn't get into the throttle quite as well as I wanted to. And once I got some confidence, I stuck my foot down and finally stretched it out on him. He probably could have come down on 1, but it was a late entry kind of deal. So,
all right,
I'm just glad I survived that one.
Go get some practice time before we do the next one. Good luck, man.
All right, thanks.
JR, who you got?
Yeah, I got Brian Bianchi. He's our second place finisher in race number 1. Brian, congratulations there. I know it's a little frustrating. Just tell the viewers at home, how hard is it to try to set up and make a pass in these SKs at this place?
It's difficult, but you can. You know, with the top 3 or 4 guys, we're so close on speed. It's really hard. I had a run there with I think 2 to go on the backstretch. AJ and I kind of touched, but I don't know. I'm gonna make a couple adjustments and see if I can get one more spot.
Awesome, like to hear that, man. I want to run the points by you real quick. You know, you're 6th place in points. You've got a pretty tight battle with a couple of guys ahead of you there. Not that far out of 3rd place in points. You made up ground during race number 1. What's your outlook for the rest of this season? You looking to try to charge and get inside that top 3, bring it home solid?
Yeah, ideally we'd like to finish as high as we can. Missing last week wasn't ideal, but we'll see what we can do on these last few. They're all good tracks for me, so I think we'll have a little something for them.
Awesome. Before I let you go, man, how tough is it going to be restarting? I think you're starting 9th in race number 2 here. How's that going to be for you?
Yeah, me and the guys were just talking. I think it's going to be tough. We're going to have to be really patient. You know, we got really fast cars, and like I said, I'm making adjustments, see if I can get by them and see what we can do.
Awesome, man. Hopefully we're talking to you again here in a little bit.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. That's Brian Bianchi. He's our 2nd place finisher there. Soup, who you got now?
Point leader, Eric Teapot Stout. Teapot?
What's up, pal?
You got time to talk to us?
Yeah, I got a few minutes.
Are you in the car? You want to roll on out there and walk us around? Can you do a practice lap, or is that not feasible?
I'm just kind of hanging out, actually watching the action at the moment. But yeah, you want to get in the car? I'll go cruise around.
Go ahead. We got a little bit of time before we go. We'll talk to you while you're doing that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Your restarts were fun. You're on the outside. You made them work.
Yeah, you know, worked really hard at the restarts and the initial starts. I know I've talked about that before with the practice that AJ and I put in. We always make it a point to work on that. And actually, when we were testing the setup, me and the other admins, and I was sort of coming up with the format, I did an AI race just to make sure that I could get it to all work. And I felt like the outside groove, especially in 1 and 2, because you can carry so much speed, had potential to maybe you know, sneak up and keep someone in it, you know, fight for position. So yeah, it was a fun, intense 50 laps. It's a format we've never done before, and I thought, you know, could be something cool to do, and Rob and Josh were into it. So I hope it made for a good broadcast, and I hope that we get another good 50 lap race here.
It's fun. We're watching you work right now. We thought you were, again, if you have to leave us, let us know. We thought you were more effective on the outside through 3 and 4 than you were through 1 and 2. Did we read that right? And if so, why?
On like the restarts or in general?
Yeah, on the restarts when you were on the outside.
I was definitely better through 1 and 2 than I was 3 and 4.
Really? That's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. You could like, I could drive it super deep. Like, I wasn't lifting until like almost the apex of the corner on the outside, and there's just not enough real estate on the exit of the corner to keep up that same speed. It gets really narrow as you sort of head towards that Holly Farm sign there. So and we knew that because AJ and I we had tried a few out. So I knew that I'd be able to compete, like I said, and probably take the lead going into turn 3. I hope that didn't come across the broadcast. Josh is chirping at me on the radio. He said, "I hope I don't mess up the session." I think we're good now, but yeah, there's just the car gets way too pinched off in 3 and 4. So really, I'm just trying to survive there, fall back into 3rd, and then take my chances on the next restart. But overall, for the race, I think a podium is a success. I didn't get wrecked, and you know, maybe we can pull off a top top 5. They're still chirping at me, so I gotta go. I gotta go chirp back a little bit, but
Go do your stuff. We'll keep an eye on you. Thanks for helping us, Phil. Good job.
Yeah, right on, guys. Talk to you later, hopefully.
Eric Stout did a nice job there, filling the time as we had a little bit of a break. We like this format. Change it up a little bit. All right, practice is just about over. They got just a handful of seconds to go, and then we'll give you the grid. Now, again, the back half of the grid is going to be exactly what you heard JR read from 11 to 20th. They'll line up in the same way that they finished the race. But I get to invert those guys. And the guy I'm watching, he's going to be starting in 5th position. It's Josh Buckley. We'll give you the whole run. But Buckley's going to have to work on Rex Hoyle, Jeff Aho, and Rob Higgins, and Fred Leclerc. They'll all be starting ahead. We like this one. This will put a lot of pressure on those fast guys to race clean because they're not used to having slow guys ahead of them, so they'll turn it around a little bit. It will be fun. You see that beautiful NASCAR Cup Series sign, wind flag blowing there in the wind here in Virginia. And, you know, I'm a lucky guy because I get to talk about our grid sponsor. And, of course, to do that, I would actually need to know who the grid sponsor is. There it is, raceact.com. They are the best place to go if you're looking for short track information in the New England area. And honestly, we should have talked about them twice, as this is the second grid that we talked about. But let's go ahead and give you the grid right now. Fred Leclerc and Rob Higgins will be going in the front row.
Rolling off second row inside, Jeff Aho, outside Rex Hoyle.
They call him Granny Hips. You should see him do the electric slide. He's pretty good at that, too. We're talking about Josh Buckley. He's starting in 5th. Man, I think we need to watch. Chad Alcaraz outside of him.
Rolling off in 7th place, got Bradley Steffen, outside in 12th, Eric Stout.
Brian Bianchi. AJ Hamill go 9th and 10th.
Yeah, Benjamin Gerhardt, he rolls off 11th. 12th place, Brandon Feeney.
In the Baker's 7th spot. This time it's Ken Allen. He's going to be starting ahead of his son, who's a little farther back. Brian Knapp will be in 14th.
Inside row 8, Chris Hazlip, outside Chris Oliver.
We got Andy Lewis will be in the 17th position with another Andy, Andrew Critical Massey in 18th.
Yeah, last row on the grid, inside Luke Logan Allen in 19th spot. Outside will be TJ Henson looking to move forward after that accident in race number 1.
Yeah, it did not go well for TJ. All right, we turn our attention up to Fred Leclerc. He knows how to get it done. It'll be fun to keep an eye on. Glad you are with us. 50 laps. The number 71 of Leclerc in control of the field. Well, I say in control of the field, but that's not really the case, as these guys have to wait, and they'll both go together, both Leclerc and Rob Higgins, when the flagman waves it and turns it green. Higgins lying back a little bit, lying back, and now we get to go green for the second time tonight. Gather up those chickens and take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn. The 40 of Higgins drifts really high. He has no contest for the man up in front, but the 21, that is Jeff Aho. Aho trying to get something going this season. The defending champ has not had it his way. He races now up in second.
Absolutely. Fred Leclerc, he pulled away big time there, and he's going to leave the rest of these drivers too wide trying to fight it out. It does look like Jeff Aho may carry just enough momentum into turn 3 to be able to clear for second.
The man to watch, in my opinion, the 13 of Joshua Buckley now. Moving into 3rd position. He's only got 2 guys to get around, Aho and Leclerc, for the old veteran. Nobody has raced here at Langley more laps than Joshua Buckley in the Red Line Racing League. He races in 3rd right now. Higgins cannot get down, and that's going to open the door for the number 89 of Bradley Steffen. Steffen already with a win this season. Would like to pick up one more if you can here in the second part of this doubleheader.
Yeah, and this is something that we're seeing in this race a little bit different than the last race. These drivers that are inverted starting up toward the front, but we're stuck on that outside line, I don't think they realize exactly how hard it is to make that outside line work after 3, 4, 5 laps. They're fighting hard to try to maintain that track position, but unfortunately it's just not working out for them. They continue to get passed by that inside line.
Watch out for the 14 of Brian Bianchi. He is up 3 spots already. He's on the inside line. The inside line is rolling, and the 14 is going to try to pick up another spot. Oh, poor Rob Higgins. He started on the outside of row 1, just has not been able to get down, and he's dropping spots as here comes the 14 underneath him.
Absolutely, and you mentioned him, Brian Bianchi. He has moved up the fastest out of those drivers that got inverted to the backside of the top 10. So he is making up ground, and that is trouble for the rest of this field because we know how fast he was.
Up front, we got a battle. Drifted a little bit high there was Leclerc. Getting the nose underneath him is Jeff Aho. Aho, the defending champ. He had a great beginning to the series this season as he led so many laps, but misfortune found him, and then all of a sudden he lost all of his mojo and has not been able to get it going. But right now, looking to see the front is Aho. He gets there, and again, watch the 13. He's going to give no prisoners here as he gets underneath. There's no way he's going to let the 71 get out in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Buckley's just kind of watching, trying to see what happens, but the advantage he's got is right there, what you just saw. He's able to do the contact and go around.
Flew a little bit too high, got too close to the sun, and melted his wings was Josh Buckley. You can see how hard he takes it in here. Watch him. Dives it in really deep on this corner.
Oh, and I think from that view, we actually had multiple accidents occurring.
Yeah.
I think there was one back in the pack also, maybe around Eric Stout, but absolutely with Buckley, we're running on board with him, and he tried to do the over-under. It works really well here. Just misjudged that exit a little bit, and right front to left rear contact with Fred Leclerc. Actually, maybe not so much contact, but contact from behind with the 89 of Bradley Steffen. So maybe Steffen just wasn't expecting the 13 to have to hold that car down a little bit on corner exit. Yeah, I don't know that the 89 understood that the 13 was actually making a pass there.
Let's go ahead and talk to our race leader, defending champ, Jeff Aho. Tonight's the night, baby. Time to get that first win.
I really hope so, man. It's been a long time coming since I had one, and I've had a lot of disappointment this season, so hopefully I can hold off these guys for the next 40 laps.
You know, we were just talking about your season. It's really, while you don't have a win, the early part of the season you were incredibly competitive and just had bad luck. And then, as we got to the halfway mark, then it's just like you weren't even to be seen. What do you account for that?
You can use the word terrible if you want. I don't know. I qualify all well, except for tonight, and then all of a sudden I just find a way to finish 12th. So hopefully tonight we finish first.
It's all about momentum. We start a little momentum, and it starts now. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, they are doubling up. He's got no slouch to his outside, though. Fred Leclerc. That's 71.
Yeah, Fred knows how to get the job done. He won last time out at Hickory, a tough racetrack in itself. This is another tough place. So if anybody can make it work, it would probably be him on that outside lane there.
Based on what I saw from the first race, though, the 14 of Bianchi, he's pretty quick as well, and I don't know if the 71's going to be able to hold off the 14. Look at the jump that Bianchi gets, and sure enough, he's inside of Leclerc. Leclerc is really going to be hard-pressed to see if he can find any road down to the inside line. The 54 is back there as well of Rex Hoyle. He's not going to let anybody down in there. Good racing going on. Boy, the leaders have been hit and spun so often this season. Let's hope that they can bring it home clean. We don't want to see it done that way. Leclerc working hard on the outside.
Yeah, Leclerc was pretty much back in third spot on that opening lap, and look at the charge he was able to get with the momentum on that outside. He's got to try to make something work fast here because that car's going to continue to get tighter and tighter in that outside line as we go.
Once, we got a caution. Let's see if we can find it. I believe it might involve. One of the cars involved is the number one, the newcomer. That was Benjamin Gerhardt.
Yeah, we caught it kind of late there, so kind of interesting to see. He may have just gotten loose by himself before getting. Oh no, actually not. So yeah, that's something that happens at this place. So a lot of drivers like to take an early entry into turn one. A lot of them like to arc it in. And we just saw two drivers kind of going together, expecting the other to be in a slightly different position. It just wasn't the way it was meant to be there.
You know, that's kind of maybe the nature of this format as well. I don't know if A.J. Hamill, how many laps he's raced behind Benjamin Gerhardt, my guess would be 0. And JR, now don't take this wrong because you're a fast driver and I'm a slow driver. But what I'm just saying, when you are behind me, you got to give. I brake in different places than where you do, man, and you got to take that into account.
No, absolutely, and that's the advantage of running in a league. Obviously, the one of Benjamin Gerhardt's a newer driver, so these drivers don't have a whole lot of familiarity with him yet. But that's the advantage of racing in a league. You learn how the different drivers are around the different types of tracks, their driving lines, their driving styles, whether they get into the corner a little easier or a little deeper. And that's the stuff that you have to adjust for as a driver that might be a little bit faster. And ultimately, it is the responsibility, I hate hearing it sometimes, but it is the responsibility of the faster driver to be able to make a clean pass. And it's tough to do. It's not easy, but being in a league with those same drivers week in and week out does help.
It is funny because it's and even as a slower driver, when I'm racing amongst, I have to be careful here to make sure we don't miss the restart. When I'm racing amongst guys that I'm the same pace of, I can race with more confidence, even when I know that I have a leader who's had a bad race and somehow he's behind me. It makes you race a little more nervous. You try to do the very best you can, and sometimes you take it in a little deeper than you'd like to, just so that the guy can give you a little bit of respect. All right, they're coming down the backstretch. Jeff Aho, he knows how to race hard. He's got a defending champ behind the wheel there of the 21. He had several wins last time. Now, Fred Leclerc did a great job of making him work hard last time. We'll see how he does on this restart. Here we go, here we go, here we go, and they both go. Hey, the 71 looks really good. No, man, did he miss a gear maybe?
Yeah, I think that may have been a hitting the rev chip a little bit right before going into second gear, just slowed his momentum. But look at the speed he gains off of turn 2 once again. He's going to dive it in hard into turn 3 to try to not lose that ground. And he's going to be side by side with Jeff Aho as we go back into 1 and 2.
Boy, if you can pin the 21 down, JR has taught me this, that you can slow that inside line down if you can keep them down low. Look at the 71 giving Aho no room to come up the track. Now the 21's clear.
Yeah, I think at this point, the 21 is going to have it made. The 71 is going to have to fight hard just to try to hold on to second place. We see some contact a little bit through the middle of 1 and 2, but they keep it going straight.
Aho right now, his best friend is the 71 of Leclerc. If he can keep that 14 back there and try to pick up a little bit of distance between him, the 14 is really good. My goodness. We have people slamming into each other, but there's no caution. Let's hope the leaders don't come up on him. Coming out is Hayslip is coming back up on the track. Careful, Lipper. Here they come. 1, 2, 3, and now the caution comes out.
Oh, yeah. Thankfully for that caution, I see there Hayslip's actually got some right front suspension damage, and it didn't look like it on screen, but I think he was trying super hard to stay down on the inside, and the car just wasn't allowing him to do that. So thankfully that caution was thrown, otherwise it could have been a big wreck later in the back here.
That sure will be fun to talk to. I'm going to send my director on a microphone hub. See if you can find Chris Hayslip. Are we able to bring him up as we go down and search? He might not be here. No, we don't get to talk to the Lipper. That would have been good. Poor guy. I've been there. They didn't throw the caution. What are you going to do? He coming out. They ran up on him.
Yeah, and it is tough. There are certain tracks that the caution just doesn't come out in situations like that. And if you're a driver that's involved in an accident, you're assuming, I know it's not right to do that, but you're assuming that the caution's out. And then here come the leaders at full speed. So a lot of times, a lot of bad accidents happen from that. That's just that awareness you've got to make yourself develop. Even though you've had something bad happen to you, you realize whether or not that caution's out.
Director, are we able to dial up the 14 of Bianchi? Is he available to talk to him? He's on the outside. It'd be fun to see what he has to say if we're able to get him. Don't have him either. How about Amelia Earhart? Do you see Amelia Earhart? Could we call her up? She's not there either. A lot of people missing here tonight.
Yeah, and we've got, at least a couple more laps under the caution here, but this is going to be a huge opportunity for Brian Bianchi on this restart. And if I'm Jeff Aho, I am nervous, especially like we talked with him earlier, the season that he's had and the disappointments that he's had. He has one of the fastest guys that in both of the races right beside him on this restart, and he's a driver that spent a lot of time up front in race number 1 that knows what it's like to race up front in the lines that work and don't work. So definitely Jeff's going to have to focus here on this restart, make sure that he gets a good restart. The thing about that, normally the leader has a huge advantage on restarts because they get to dictate when they go. In this series, we do not go until that green flag drops, so it's all about timing, reaction time when that flag drops.
Well, in theory, that's the way it's supposed to work. There's been some talk about some guys that kind of lag back a little bit, and they say, well, I get on the throttle at the same time that the flag man waves the green, but the fact that I may be running a little bit faster. All right, here we go. Bianchi gets a real good start. Now, this is the first time that Aho has had Bianchi to the outside. Let's see what the 14 can do. We think that the 14 is really, really competitive right now. Look at him down the back straight. He starts to gain a little bit. Now they go in through 3 and 4. The 14 look good. Drifts really high. Loses a lot of momentum. And now there's the 71 making his move again. Fred Leclerc back in second.
Yeah, Bianchi felt like he had to make that outside work that time. He dove it really hard into 3 and 4, but we're at the point where the tires are just not going to hold that type of speed into the corner. He's trying to work hard to get down, and he's going to make contact with Ken Allen, but he's able to hang on to it there. Ken stays to the inside of him.
Ken Allen says, man, I've been racing in the back all night long. I finally find myself up front here. Let me see if I can get a little bit into this podium position and see what I can do. He gets to the inside. Bianchi is stuck out there. Move Ken Allen up into third. If I speak too soon, I think he's going to get it done.
Yeah, and as we're watching these guys battle it out hard for third on back, we see that the top 2 are Jeff Aho and Fred Leclerc. And Leclerc, I do not think is done in this race. I think he has a little bit of something that he's saving for these last 10, 15 laps or so, because he's able to keep pace with Jeff right now. But having said that, we see back in the pack, Ken Allen's finally gotten himself clear into third spot. Be interesting to see if he can also challenge those top 2.
Allen does not have a win, but sits way up in the points and would like a good points night. Certainly did get it in the first race. These are full points, so this is basically 2 full races here. So he's racing for big points if he can get it done.
Yeah, and Ken is the biggest mover that I see in this race. He's up 10 spots from the starting position at the moment, so that's huge. We saw how hard it was to pass in race number 1, or to be able to come from the back and get anywhere near the front, but Ken Allen's been able to do it in this race.
It's been a good second race for the Allens. Ken is up 10 spots. His boy, Luke, is up about 5 or 6. He's up 7 as well. Another big mover is TJ Henson.
Yeah, and those 2 drivers you just spoke about, they're kind of in a hornet's nest here. They're battling hard with a couple of drivers. There's 2 almost 3 rows deep of side-by-side racing. And we see...
Oh, it's been up in front of them. And it got oh my goodness, it got AJ Hamill.
It did get AJ, and he won race number 1, and we spoke to him, and he wasn't super optimistic coming from the middle of the pack back to the front, but he said it himself. He's already won, so anything that happens here, I don't think he's going to be too disappointed, and that's the exact same thing that happened between Hamill and Gerhardt earlier in the race. It's just a coming together of drivers entering turn 1. Again, some drivers like to go in shallow. Some drivers like to arc it in, and most cases, the 2 come together.
Okay, I've done a little studying, and I think we can talk to Fred Leclerc in the 71. Let's see if we can bring him in. Fred, it's soup up here in the booth. My partner, JR, says he thinks you got a little bit for Aho. You agree?
Yeah, I got something for him. If I can do it on the outside right here, I think I can do it.
1 or 2 or 3 and 4, do you have an advantage on the outside line for you?
I think I'm better in 1 and 2 on the outside.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on you.
I can do it in 3, but it'll be tough.
All right, We'll keep an eye on you. Good luck. Bring it home clean, baby.
Thank you.
I love working with my partner. He knows what's going on. Rarely do you get to talk to somebody and they say, yeah, I think I do, Soup. I think I got something for him. He sounded confident, JR.
Yeah, I definitely like the confidence, and it goes a long way because you've got to be extremely focused and work on that reaction time on this restart because we're going on green, like we said before. There are a little bit of games that get played from time to time, but the more focused you are and the more that you believe you can make this pass work on the green flag, the better off you're going to be. And he's got a ton of confidence, and we've already seen the speed that he's had in this race. So, again, if anybody can make that work, it's definitely him.
Keep an eye on Big Daddy Ken Allen back there, sitting in the inside of row 3. And Bianchi's still around, lurking out there. I'm sorry, the inside of row 2, right there with Bianchi the outside of him. This will be fun. Aho, Leclerc, Allen, Bianchi. Nobody with more career wins here than Rex Hoyle. He's on the inside of row 3. And you can't keep a good teapot down. Eric Stout, racing in 6th. Oh, that's going to be 8 exciting laps. Pace car is in. Watch the 71. He waits, he's right there. They go together. That's a pretty good restart. They are side by side. Leclerc will pin Aho down. He feels good through here. Look at him roll. Boy, he's got a big lead now down the backstretch. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish, but this looks really good. Maybe the next lap he can get it done. Aho starts the game. iRacing is going to give credit for leading the lap. It's going to go to Leclerc. Now let's see if Leclerc, he's in better position this time around than he was the first lap, but he doesn't do as well through 1 and 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really that opening lap where that outside can really have the advantage. He's going to start to fall back a little bit here, and I think Ken Allen's going to look to take advantage of that and move into 2nd spot. Ken's got a lot of speed too, but he also is going to have to make this pass happen quickly if he wants a chance to win the race.
Leclerc was inches away from closing the door on Aho. He almost got it done, and then he showed the right restraint, did not cause a problem in front of everybody else, and now the battle is between Allen and Leclerc. And again, my partner says it's hard to make it work later on, and sure enough, the 71 will have to surrender that spot. Here comes Bianchi down underneath. Easy, boys, keep it clean, boy. They bump, they bang. Leclerc gets forced up into the wall. He comes down, he collects Hoyle and a whole bunch more.
Yeah, nearly 2/3 of the field, I think, is going to be taken out in this race in one way or another. That was a messy incident. We saw the drivers pushing hard. I believe Fred Leclerc kind of got pushed up coming off of turn 4 and into the outside wall, and that loss in momentum from hitting the wall, I believe, is what caused this mess ultimately.
Boy, they were racing so tight and so close. And they got together at the front of the field, and look at that.
Yeah, we could see the 14. I think the 14 just really believed that he was going to be able to clear the 71 off of turn 4, and there just wasn't enough room. Fred trying to leave some room while also being pushed up, and he just got into that outside wall, and that created a little bit of a 3-wide situation, and everybody came together. And, yeah, if you're one of these drivers that was back behind that mess, there was a low likelihood that you were going to be able to get by it.
Yeah, that was blocked. Getting the wave around, that's going to be going to Andrew Massey, so he gets the wave around. He'll get back on the lead lap. Well, we got a green-white checker. Aho has had to fend off many different comers on the outside, and this will be the first time he's had to do it for Ken Allen.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Ken Allen's had tons of speed. He's up 11 spots from where he started in this race. Been able to move forward in a short amount of time, but he hasn't had to restart up front in one of these races yet tonight. So it's going to be a new experience for him. Obviously, I think Fred Leclerc showed us that outside line can work for about a lap, maybe 2 laps. And that's really all that you're going to need here on this green-white checker. So never know. This might get exciting. Hopefully we get a good clean finish and we don't get another mess up front like we've seen in some of these races.
All right, Aho takes the inside. No surprise there. Allen to the outside. Bianchi is fast, but he's going to be pinned behind the two drivers in front. Haven't heard much from Bradley Steffen tonight, but the 89 is back. No wins for the front row, 2 wins for the guys in second. 2 career wins for Rex Hoyle, racing inside of row 3. And then Kid Lemon Lime up there as well, watching. He can see his dad just 1 car ahead of him there. All right, we get going. Coming across the line. Oh, it looks like, oh, good run. Look at that through 1 and 2. A great run out there for Allen. He pulls up. He's going to have the advantage going into 3 and 4, but this is where the tires start to give up. Let's see if there's momentum for the top line. There is not. They come across the line. We are going to finish this thing under green. They're bumping for second, trying to make some room, trying to see if there's anywhere for me to go. Is the 89 of Bradley Steffen, but he can't get it done. Coming out of the final quarter, picking up his first win of the season, defending champ, Jeff Aho. Steffen will take second. Big Daddy Ken Allen comes home in third.
Yeah, congrats to the drivers here tonight, but that was a great finish. Good, clean finish. A lot of exciting racing there for the viewers at home.
Mama Allen, cook up something sweet at home because your husband finished third. Your baby boy came home in 5th. A nice race for the Allen family. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and run down the entire finishing order, talk to some more of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Don't go far. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. Welcome back to Langley Speedway and the Virtual Grip Network's 13th round coverage of the Skitter Creek SK Modified Series Season 13. The results are in here for the second half of our doubleheader. Let's give them to you right now. It was an exciting one. Well, it took them, we're going to say, 14 races to get that first win, as this is really race number 14. Jeff Aho, we're talking about, the defending champ in car number 21, started on the inside of row 2, was able to pick up those 2 spots and fend off many different a-comer on the outside of row 1 on those restarts. He picks up the first win of the season. Bradley Steffen, he'll come home in second. Ken Allen had a nice second half to the night as he finishes in third position. Brian Bianchi and Luke Logan Allen go 4th and 5th. Good job from Kid Lemon Lime. They're making the top 5. Back half of your top 10, Chad Alcaraz. Newcomer Andy Lewis, congratulations. We'll get some more screen time for you next time in the number 98 there. Andy, well done. Rob Higgins will come home in 8th position. 9th and 10th, well, that's the teapot, Eric Stout and Fred Leclerc. Both those guys put on quite a show racing up front for most of the night.
Yeah, coming home in 11th place tonight, we got Josh Buckley in that 13 car. He was very fast tonight. Rex Hoyle, he'll come home in 12th place. Andrew Massey, 13th tonight. He's the first car one lap down in race 2. 52, Chris Oliver, he comes home in 14th. TJ Henson, not having a good night in race 1 or 2. He comes home in 15th spot. Brendan Feeney, 16th tonight. AJ Hamill, he was race number 1's winner there. He comes home in 17th place. Chris Hazlip, 18th. Brian Neff comes home in 19th. And Benjamin Gerhardt, he will come home in 20th spot.
But you put on a good show. Nice job, Benjamin, the car number 1. We look forward to big things for you coming on the last half of the season here. Let's go ahead and bring on Jeff Aho and talk to him. Jeff, so many restarts and so many different names out there, and we thought that there were no tricks played. We thought all the guys on the outside line played it pretty straight.
They did. I had a really good time racing against Fred. A lot of good restarts against him. I was terrible getting into 1 and 2. I just thought I had no speed getting out of it, but luckily I thought I was very good going into 3 and 4, and eventually just got past him and just hung on for the lead.
At the end, Leclerc was so close to finishing that. He maybe was 6 inches away from being able to close the door on you. But my partner said, if that outside line doesn't get it done early, they start to fade. And sure enough, he couldn't finish it, and then he dropped.
Yeah, I can't explain it, but there was no exit coming out of 2. You have to brake early and try to get on the throttle early to get that speed. But then the problem is the outside is 5 miles an hour faster. So you just hope that you can kind of carry that, that edge so Fred can't drop in front of me. But yeah, you're right. Fred almost was able to shut the door on me and win.
Well, it's great to see you get the win. It's going to give you some momentum here for the last half of the season. What do you think about this place? I thought the track, it's an interesting place, hard to pass, but it puts on a pretty good show.
It's very hard to pass, and you kind of just stay neck and neck and hope somebody bumps the wall or you can get underneath them. First, I got to also thank Josh, Rob, and Eric for putting a race where washed-up champions like me can finish 8th and then get inverted to win the race. So thank you guys for acknowledging my poor season.
Hey, I'll get you out of here on this one. On the first race, was there a knowledge of yourself that you definitely did not want to finish 11th?
I'm not going to lie. I was actually trying to get as many spots as I could. I just ended up in 8th. I just figured something's going to go wrong, and I'll finish 15th again on the second race. So I was like, I'll just get as many points as I can in this, and I was like, I guess 8th is good enough. Luckily, it just got me on the inside for the 3rd place start for the second 50.
It did indeed. Congratulations, man. Nice to see you race up front. Way to bring it home.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Defending champ Jeff Aho. Not going to get it this season, but maybe next season. All right, JR, who you got?
Yeah, I'm standing here with Bradley Steffen, came home in 4th place in race number 1, 2nd place, race number 2. Bradley, I got to ask you, you didn't have to pass a ton of cars tonight. You had good starting positions, but you were able to move forward in both races. So was there anything you learned in race number 1 that you were able to apply to race number 2?
Honestly, no. I run here kind of often. I know the track pretty well. I just didn't come in here with a lot of practice. And the second race there, I'm just going to say mistakes were made. Getting a couple little fender benders. One was I got into Josh there, and I decided to go into pits, kind of give myself an EOL, and I took right side tires. Then later on, I get into AJ Hamill there, and my thing there was I was going to the inside, I had a decent run, and he just apexed it perfectly, just cut it right, and I don't know, I wasn't prepared for it, I guess, spun him out. But yeah, it was kind of chaotic race, but no, I didn't learn anything from race 1 to race 2. Come here pretty often, so, but I'm just glad to come out of here with a P2. But yeah, like I said, mistakes were made.
Yeah, that's going to happen from race to race. But I got to ask you, we know that you have been P2 in the point standings. It's been hard to try to gain some ground on Eric Stout this season. But you definitely gained some ground tonight. Does that give you any motivation to keep charging in these last, few races of the season?
Every week I'm charging. Every week I want to crunch it down as much as I can every race. Just do the best I can and Hope Eric doesn't do the best. I know that big wreck there. I don't know who's on the outside, smashed a wall, and I was right behind Eric. We had nowhere to go. And as soon as you seen something happen, everyone's on the brakes. But I got into Eric. All of a sudden, he's going around, and just one of those things. I got lucky coming out of that, and that obviously that helps me, not him, in the points. But it was unfortunate. But just one of them night. I don't know what to say.
It happens. Before I let you go, man, gotta ask you, going next week to Oswego Speedway, place I don't have any experience at. What are your thoughts going there? You got any time at that Speedway?
So it's kind of funny you asked that. The only time I've been there is in this car last season with Red Light Racing when I joined about halfway through. They were there. It's the first time I've been there. And it went really well. I don't know. Remember I might have finished on podium. I don't remember, but so good things should happen. Hopefully, good things.
Awesome to hear, man. Well, hopefully next week we'll get to talk to you some more. Look forward to doing it.
Hopefully, that's the plan, sir.
All right, great job tonight, man. Coming home 4th place in race 1, 2nd in race number 2. Soup, who you got with that?
I got Ken Allen. Ken, tell Mama Allen to dish up the ice cream, and both you and your boy get sprinkles tonight. 3rd place for you, 5th place for Luke. That was a good night for the family.
Yeah, he was just rubbing it in that he moved up 14 spots.
Let's talk about your race there. The restarts were exciting. Nobody could get the outside line to work, but it almost worked. It was kind of frustrating. You had a couple shots at it, couldn't get it done.
I thought I was going to be able to do what Fred did last week, but it was just so hard to run that top in 3 and 4. Yeah, you could really beat the inside car on 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, there was just too much push.
On the first race, were you paying attention to your spot? Definitely wanted to get a top 10 finish, right?
I wanted to, and I got to apologize to TJ. I thought he was going to carry up to the wall in that first race, and I hate getting into the back of him and causing that kerfuffle there. But yeah, the first race, I don't know. It was just, I just felt stuck. It was hard to move. But the second race, I could pass.
You didn't have a great start. You started 15th in that first race, which is way down I was surprised to see you so far down the order.
Yeah, I messed up qualifying, and yeah.
Yeah, it came back to get you. Well, you got to the transfer position, we're calling it, and then you were able to have a good result. I want to get you out of here on this. I want to drill down a little bit on the dynamic at the house there. So you're both racing. Are there 2 racing rigs, or is one of you guys like duct taped to the dining room table? How does it work?
There's 2 rigs. Luke gets, every time I upgrade, Luke gets an upgrade of my old stuff.
Okay, got it.
Luke has my original rig and my original monitors and my original computer.
Is it in the same room, or do you race in different rooms?
Oh, no, he has his own room. I have mine.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's you know what, it's a charming situation. I like it a lot. It's fun. It's fun to do on the broadcast and see how you guys are doing, and sometimes he gets the best of the old man. So congratulations.
Yep. Thanks.
All right, we'll see you down the road.
All right, have a good one.
iRacing is it's amazing for what it does, and then it's amazing for what it does in a completely different way. With that said, we're through here tonight. When are we going to do this again? Well, you can see it on your screen right now. We're in the Red Light Racing League. We'll be back next Thursday night, as we always are. Where are we going? Well, we go to Oswego is where we go. That'll be fun for round number, I'm going to call it round number 15. See, now we're going to have a controversy. This seems like a double round right now. We'll find out how they do it in timing and scoring. Before that, the Bootleg Racing League, SK Modifieds for the doubleheader on Saturday night. We're going to Florida for Five Flags Speedway. Oh, that's always fun. You don't want to miss that one. Those broadcasts, future ones, past ones, all a production of the Virtual Grip Network. I say we get out of here right now. So until next time, have fun storming the castle.